Alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about the secret to pouring a 4-inch thick concrete floor inside a foundation like this. Now the obvious one is, hey, if you got experienced help, then it's pretty easy. That's what makes pouring concrete easy, is experience and being able to do it over and over and over again. But that's the obvious one. And a lot of you guys watching this video, you may have no experience. You may have only poured concrete once or twice. So let's talk about a few of the secrets that we know that you probably don't know. Now the first one is, what I would tell you, what I would give you for advice is have enough help there. Have one more person than you think you need. When you're pouring concrete, even though we kind of make it look easy right here, it's not as easy as it looks. So have enough help there and try to have at least one person there that is fairly experienced, someone that's done this a few times, so they have a little bit of an idea of what to do. But by watching these videos, by watching my videos, hopefully you'll learn the steps that we do. So the first thing we do is we back the truck up to the foundation. We get him as close as we can without damaging the foundation. And then we ask him to mix the concrete up to about a 6-inch slump, 6 or a 6.5-inch slump. And slump is how wet or how dry the concrete is. You can see how that concrete we're pouring out of the chute, it's kind of easy to pull around. It's kind of what we call kind of flowable. It's an easy workable mix. So you want to ask the driver to give you about a 6 or a 6.5-inch slump. And the way you can do that without damaging the strength of the concrete is when you order the concrete mix, ask the dispatcher to add in some water reducer. And the water reducer is like a flow additive. It's going to help the concrete be a little bit more flowable without just using water to make it wet. So that way you're not going to hurt the concrete and it'll be a lot less apt to crack that way. So have more guys there than you think you need. Make sure you get plenty of help. Ask for water reducer in the concrete and ask the concrete mixer driver to mix the concrete up to about a 6.5-inch slump. That's going to make your life a lot easier. So then the next secret is when we come into a floor like this, I don't know if you can see on the concrete wall, but there is a chalk line that we snapped on that wall at the level of the concrete. Now, right here on this front piece, you can see we actually glued up a piece of foam, and we put the top of that foam right to the chalk line, so right to the level of the concrete floor. So you can either just use the chalk line if you want, or you could use this, what we call strip-off foam. It comes in 4-inch rolls, and you can glue that right to the surface of the concrete at the level of the floor, and that's going to help you as you pour the concrete know exactly what level the floor needs to be at. And then you can see Darren right there. He had a mag float in his hand, and he was kind of smoothing off the edge. That's what we do before we screed. So we get all those edges mag floated, and that gives us something to screed the concrete by. You can see we're just holding the screed in our hands, and we're kind of striking off the concrete at the level of the chalk line that we used. And we actually used the self-leveling rotary laser to set that line. We'd go around and we'd mark it. We'd have a grade stick with a ruler on it and a receiver, and we set that to floor grade, and then we'd mark that with a pencil, and then we'd snap a chalk line to that. So that gets us our floor grade, and then it gets all our edges so we can mag float them smooth. And then like Luke's doing right here, he's just using a 6-foot screed, and he's screeding off the concrete. He's striking off the concrete to get it level. Now the secret to using a bull float, Darren there in the yellow shirt, he's got the bull float, and he's just going to smooth the concrete out a little bit more after you screed it. When you push that bull float forward, you want to make sure the front edge is tipped up, and then when you pull it backwards, make sure the back edge is tipped up just a little bit, like a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch, and that's going to keep that bull float from digging in. Now with our bull float, we have a head on it that tilts, so you just you turn the handle right or left, clockwise or counterclockwise, and that tilt head will tilt the bull float for you. So a lot of good tips here. All right, so we got the top section done, and again, we backed the concrete truck up to the wall. The chutes of the concrete truck reach about 18 feet, so we had about 24 feet to go across here. Now we have all these little spare, what we call extension chutes we carry around with us. This one's about an 8-footer. We got a 10-footer, a 12-footer, and a 16-footer. So if you have to pull the concrete further than what the concrete chute will reach, then you could probably rent one of those from a concrete rental company for the day, and then just that'll make your pour go a lot easier. So another little secret tip you may not know about is you can rent those chutes. A lot of those companies have extra chutes. And then you don't have to get a pump truck, or you don't have to wheelbarrow the concrete in place. You can just shoot it in place like we're doing. All right, so this job required more concrete than one truck could carry. That's one full concrete truck right there. So we get him dumped out, and then we back the second one in to where we want to finish out the concrete floor. So he's kind of backing into the front of what will be where the garage door is, versus you can a little bit better shot of it right there, versus where we had to back the other truck. You'll be able to see that right here in a minute. There, so we basically had access to those two sides. So if you're pouring a concrete floor for yourself, if you're doing a house, you're doing a garage, and you got to go like there's no way we would have poured this just from the front where the garage door was. If that was the only access, then we would have had to get a pump. But if you can backfill that so you can get to at least two sides or even three sides, that's going to make your pouring go a lot easier. So another secret tip is if you got wire mesh in your concrete like we do, and you don't have access to chairs or anything to put under it, like in a 4-inch floor, we don't like putting chairs under here. We'll just pull it up, and I made a little wire hook out of a piece of wire, and as we're pouring the concrete, I'm pulling that wire up into the concrete. And once all those rocks, see all the rocks in there, those are 3/4 inch, some of them are 1-inch rocks. Once those rocks get under the wire mesh after I pull it up, the wire doesn't go all the way back down to where it was before, even if you step on it, because there's so many rocks underneath it, it can't go all the way back down. So that's another little secret. You can just pull that wire up in there if you want. In our concrete mix, we have actually got another reinforcement in the mix. When I ask the concrete batcher for the mix, I tell them to put fiber mesh in the concrete. And we use what's called a microfiber mesh. So you can barely even see it's in there. It's not all hairy. It doesn't stick up through the concrete when you finish in the concrete. You can't even tell it's in there. So we actually have two types of reinforcement in here. Now another little secret tip is when we pour the concrete out for a garage like this, this thing's about 28 feet wide. We like to pour out at least half the garage, because what we like to do is we like to strike off our concrete using a wet pad. And you'll see Darren's going to grab the grade stick to the laser. He's got it right there. And he's going to smooth off a section in the middle of the garage. And then he's going to use the laser to check that section, that little pad he's going to make with his mag, and make sure that little pad he has is right to the grade of the concrete, the floor height that we need it at. And then we can use that to strike off the concrete. So that's another little secret. If you've got a self-leveling laser, you don't really need to put anything in the middle. You just use the grade stick and the receiver from the laser to strike off a little pad like this and check it. Make sure it's right at the right height. And you can set it to that same height that's over by the concrete wall where you have the chalk line snapped that you've already mag floated, so you can check it that way. Now while Darren's doing that, because we pour a lot of floors, we know that we can pour out all this concrete if we wanted to. But we could stop right here. The concrete driver would wait for us, and we could get this section of the concrete pulled down with a strike-off screed, and then we could keep pouring the rest. But we'll just keep pouring this since we do this every day. in there. Once the pad's right at the height he wants, he puts a little X there so everybody knows that's the grade, not to step in it, not to disturb it. And then we're good to go there when we're ready to start screeding. So our preferences really for us is we like to pour out almost all the concrete in a, we consider this a pretty small garage. It's probably 28 by 24. And then they got that little upper section up there they're going to have a bathroom in there, and they're going to end up finishing off the upstairs of this garage. But when we pour something this size, we'll pour out 90% of it like we're doing right now before we start really screeding the concrete. And then young Luke here, he's kind of raking off the concrete. He's trying to get it as close to the height he thinks the concrete floor is without getting it too low. So he's kind of puddling the concrete, kind of tuning it in, rough tuning it in. And then you can see I continue to pull the wire up as I move the chute along. In there. So we shut the truck off. We leave a little hole at the end. That's another secret tip. Don't fill it all the way in if you're going to do that. Leave a little hole in the end in case you're high. As you strike off the concrete and pull it down, if you're high, you can pull it into that one low spot you left, and then you don't have to shovel a lot out over the edge. Well, this is how we screed the concrete. This is what we call wet screeding. Darren's over there, way over there to the right in the yellow, and I'm the one here on the left in the yellow. He's going to use the part of the pad on the floor that he magged to the chalk line, or that top of that foam. And then I'm using the wet pad in the middle that we struck off. So I'm just making sure the screed is kind of scoring, I guess, on that pad. You can tell it leaves a little mark when you score. When you don't score, you can see where you haven't actually got the screed down farther enough on the pad, so you'll know you're high. Now look at that screed. That's a 14-foot screed. We tip it a little bit on its back edge. We use the back edge to screed on, not the front edge. If you just hold that flat and use the front edge, it kind of rips and tears the concrete, and it leaves the surface a lot rougher. It kind of tears the holes in the surface from all the aggregate. We don't like that. So we use the back edge, and we don't saw it back and forth. As you can see, we just kind of use north and south kind of pattern, I guess you want to call it, kind of a rhythm. And then the guys behind us raking, they kind of rake the concrete in the same rhythm. They either pull some back or they push some up, depending on if we're high or low. And that's how you screed concrete right there. That's what makes pouring a 4-inch concrete floor really easy, is when you can screed concrete like that. And it takes some practice, because we're actually, as we move backwards, we're actually kicking mud back into our footprints that we pull our boot out of. And in most cases, we don't have to stop when we do a section like this. We can just keep going. You can see how I kick some mud up there with my boot. And then when I pull my boot out, I kick just a little bit into where my toes were. And that keeps that section, that keeps it from being low right there. And that right there is how easy it is to kind of pour out the concrete, get it to the level you want it, and then strike it off with a straight edge. Now, learning how to kick screed like this takes some practice, like I said. And if you do want to learn, I have more training videos in the Concrete Underground. That's my private training area. That's in the link in the description down below the video. You could check that out. I have all kinds of training videos in there all about concrete, especially the stuff that we do, if you're looking to learn how to do something like that. You can see how fast that you get once you learn. After a few weeks, say you worked with us for a few weeks, screeding like this is going to look just like that. It's going to be pretty normal to you, and it's going to end up being really fast. You don't need a power screed like this. You don't need to screed it just by yourself like you see a lot of other guys do. This is really, you know, without using a power screed, this is the fastest way to screed a concrete floor, is just to use a 14-foot screed or even a 16-foot screed like this. Put a couple guys on it that know what they're doing and get the concrete struck off just like that. That concrete actually slopes 2 inches from the back to towards that garage door too. I mean, hard to tell here in the video, but it's got a nice little slope to it. All right, so that's the secret to getting it down, getting it screeded. Now the last secret is getting it bow floated really nice. You know, what you don't know is, if you don't finish concrete a lot, getting the concrete really smooth right here with the bow float makes your finishing gonna be a lot easier. So in this case, you know, I got to go down and back a couple times in each section to make it look as nice as I want it to. And I like that bow float. See how it's got the rounded edges on it? The ones with the rounded edges are less likely to leave these deeper lines than the ones with the square edges on it. So if you're going to end up buying a bow float or even renting one, see if they got one that has the round edges like this. I think you're going to like it a lot more. See how I'm tipping that up as I'm pushing it, and then I tip up the back edge here as I pull it back. You just want that thing to glide over the surface nice and smooth, kind of in one motion, you know, one motion out, one motion back. And then you're not going to have a lot of stop and start marks, a lot of divots in there. You want that to look nice and smooth, just like that does. I like running it up the edge when I'm done. And then I just got that one last little section to finish up over there by where Darren is picking up the laser. And then the next step after this is just waiting for it to firm up enough to put a power trowel on for us. So in this case today, we had to give this about an hour before it was ready for a power trowel. And I have all kinds of finishing videos, when to check it, when to know when to get on it with a power trowel. All those trainings are in the Concrete Underground. But every day is a little bit different depending on the temperature, if the sun's on it, you know, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of variables, but today it was about an hour before the guys had to get back on it with a power trowel. Then we get it all power troweled hard and smooth today, and then we saw cut it today too. And that's it. We're done for today. We don't have to come back to this job again. We're done. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.